Welcome to another episode of Philippine Education, and for today's episode, we will be talking about Trifocalization of Philippine Education and the K-12 curriculum.
Welcome to Philippine Education, where we talk about issues and topics that matter in education. I am your host today, Teacher May. For week 13's episode, we will be accompanied by Eddie, our teaching companion for today. With his help, we will know more about the curriculum development in the Philippines. We will focus on two topics. First, trifocalization of Philippine education and K-12 curriculum. With these topics, we will be learning about first, trends of education from the new society to the present time. Second, improvement strategies on education undertaken by the Philippine government. Third, the structuring of the educational organization to focus on significant educational levels and modes. And determine the various curriculum models that gave way to the creation of the K-12 curriculum. Having these learning goals in mind, we are sure that we will be spending the next 15 minutes or so productively. This is Philippine Education, where we talk about issues and topics that matter in education. During the reign of President Ferdinand Marcos, education in the Philippines had a 10-year development program, 6 years in elementary and 4 years in high school. In 1972, the Department of Education became Department of Education, Culture and Sports, or DEX. We can notice that in this moniker of the nation's education agency, education is a significant agent in inculcating the Filipino youth, instilling in them not only fundamental knowledge but also core values, and attaining sound mind and body through physical activities. This is well woven in the 1973 Constitution that elucidated the role of TEX, which was to supervise the revised secondary education program. According to the Constitution, the aims of Philippine education is to foster love of the country, teach the duties of citizenship, and develop moral character, self-discipline, and scientific, technological, and vocational efficiency. During the span of 1970 to 1978, three comprehensive educational studies were conducted. In 1970, there was a Presidential Commission to Study Philippine Education, or CSPE. In 1975, a study was conducted and called as Survey of the Outcomes of Elementary Education, or SUTIL. 3 years hence, another experiment was rolled out and was named as Experimental Elementary Education Program, or EEEP. In 1978, DEX was renamed as Ministry of Education and Culture, and on the final years of President Marcos' sovereignty, the Education Act of 1982 was promulgated, which provided for formal and non-formal systems of education. A quick trivia for you teachers: formal education, or FE, simply means normal schooling where students come to school and learn according to their age, grade, and level through a structured learning program. Non-formal education, or NFE, encompasses vocational training, adult literacy programs, family planning sessions, and cultural, civic, and leadership workshops. Be extra mindful of the acronyms and information in this episode to have a chance of winning exciting prizes when you answer our quiz with for today. Going back, the Education Act of 1982 recognized two systems of education to cater the varying needs of learners. It also changed the name of Ministry of Education and Culture to Ministry of Education, Culture and Sports. 2 years after passing the Education Act, the results of the study mentioned a while ago gave way to the creation of New Elementary School Curriculum, or NESC, and New Secondary Education Curriculum, or NSEC. These curricula are the first research-based education perspectives of the country. During their implementation, the Ministry of Education, Culture and Sports had the sole responsibility for policy formulation, planning, budgeting, program implementation, and coordination in all levels of formal and non-formal education in the country. This means that It managed all levels of education, basic, secondary, and tertiary. The ministry also supervised all education institutions in public and private sectors. If you think this is a humongous task, yes, it is. According to statistics, the Philippines has more than 50,000 schools in the private and public sectors. Even if we reduce it to half to get a context, way back in the 1980s, that is still 25,000 schools to be supervised by only one government agency. A year after the ascension of Corazon Aquino to the highest position of the country, the Ministry of Education, Culture and Sports was revamped again to Department of Education, Culture and Sports. With the overcrowding of responsibilities in mind, the Congress convened a Joint Congressional Commission on Education, or EDCOM, that set for the impetus for the Congress to pass Republic Act 7722 and Republic Act 7796, creating the Commission on Higher Education, or CHED, and Technology and Skills Development Authority, or TESDA. The aim of the creation of these governing bodies is to deload decks of multifarious duties by recommending the trifocalization of the organizational structure in the education sector, creating a triangle model of governance. Under this policy, which took effect in 1994, the government mandated specific supervising authorities to three distinct bodies: DECS for basic education, TESTA for technical and vocational education and training, and SHED for higher education. DECS may sound strange to you because that is the penultimate name of Department of Education, or DepEd, after its final naming in 2001. Under a so-called trifocalization approach, the mentioned agencies comprise the government's education bureaucracy. Each body seeks to systematically improve critical regulatory, institutional, structural, financial, cultural, fiscal, and informational conditions based on the circumference of their responsibility and authority. With this system of trifocalizing education, DepEd, SHED, and TESDA are expected to make critical changes necessary to broaden, deepen, and sustain progressive education efforts across learning stages. And that's the end of our first half. Have you learned well from our discussion of trifocalization of Philippine education? I hope you answer in the affirmative, for today's learning does not stop there. Let us explore about K-12 curriculum. The Philippines has been revising its curriculum model based on innovations in education, trends and issues in teaching and learning, and demands in education based on societal needs. From 1984 to 2012, the country had five main curriculum models. From 1984 to 2002, the Department of Education had the National Elementary School Curriculum and New Secondary Education Curriculum. In 2002, DepEd implemented the Basic Education Curriculum, or BEC, and was immediately revised, calling it the RBEC. It was during the time of Raul Rocco that these two curricula were implemented as a restructuring of the NESC and NSEC. 8 years later, the Department of Education adopted the Understanding by Design, or UBD model, in pedagogy and called the new curriculum model a Secondary Education Curriculum. This curriculum did not live for too long, for in 2012, the country was introduced to the K-12 education curriculum. K-12 or K-12 is an education system under the Department of Education that aims to enhance learners' basic skills, produce more competent citizens, and prepare graduates for lifelong learning and employment. K stands for kindergarten, and 12 refers to the succeeding 12 years of basic education, 6 years of elementary education, 4 years of junior high school, and 2 years of senior high school. These learning stages are created to provide learners with sufficient time for mastery of concepts and skills, develop lifelong learners, and prepare graduates for tertiary education, middle-level skills deployment, employment, and entrepreneurship. Before the conception of this education program, the Philippines was the last country in Asia and one of only three countries in the world with a 10-year pre-university program. Various consultations were conducted on the content and implementation of the K-12 program. In such presentations, emphasis was made on the curriculum of the major subject areas and the provision of programs that would prepare students for vocational or non-academic careers, considering that the goal of the K-12 program is that every graduate is equipped with information, media, and technology skills, learning and innovation skills, effective communication skills, and life and career skills. Part of the K-12 program is to hinge on the ability of students to discern their career goals and to obtain the necessary training to prepare them for this. The K-12 program is described to have six salient features. These features are the following. First salient feature of the K-12 program is strengthening early childhood education. The early years of a human being from 0 to 6 years are the most critical period. The implementation of a universal kindergarten stipulates that students learn the alphabet, numbers, shapes, and colors through games, songs, and dances in their mother tongue. This program also makes children start schooling and are given the means to slowly adjust to formal education. Next to that is making the curriculum relevant to learners. In the K-12 program, activities, songs, poems, stories, and illustrations are relevant and based on local culture, history, and reality. This makes the lessons appropriate to the learners and easy to understand. Under and using the spiral curriculum, students acquire in-depth knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes through continuity and consistency across all levels and subjects. Discussions on issues such as disaster risk reduction or DRR, climate change adaptation or CCA, and information and communication technology or ICT are also included in the enhanced curriculum. With the mentioning of the spiral curriculum, another unique feature of this curriculum is ensuring integrated and seamless learning. Subjects are taught from the simplest concepts to more complicated concepts through grade levels in spiral progression. As early as elementary, students gain knowledge in areas such as biology, geometry, earth science, chemistry, and algebra. This ensures a mastery of knowledge and skills after each level. Fourth, on the salient feature of the curriculum is building proficiency through the use of mother tongue-based multilingual education or MTB MLE program. Due to the incorporation of the mother tongue from grades 1 to 3, learning in mother tongue serves as the foundation for students to learn Filipino and English easily. English and Filipino are also taught as subjects starting grade 1, with a focus on oral fluency. From grades 4 to 6, English and Filipino are gradually introduced as languages of instruction. Both will become primary languages of instruction in junior high school or JHS and senior high school or SHS. The penultimate feature and the most controversial characteristic of K-12 is gearing up for the future, which needed for additional 2 years in high school and bisected the secondary level into junior high school and senior high school. Senior high school is 2 years of specialized upper secondary education. Students may choose a specialization based on aptitude, interests, and core capacity. It is the reason all grade 10 students in the country take the National Career Assessment Examination or NCAI to determine their skills and aptitudes. This will also be a guide for them to identify their track in senior high school. Choice of career track will define the content of the subjects a student will take in grades 11 and 12. SHS subjects fall under either the core curriculum or specific tracks. In the core curriculum, there are 7 learning areas. These are languages, literature, communication, mathematics, philosophy, natural sciences, and social sciences. These are the following subjects that fall into core curriculum subjects. The different tracks, on the other hand, warrant students to choose among these learning paths that will help them prepare for tertiary education. These tracks are academic, technical, vocational, livelihood, and sports and arts. The academic track includes three strands: business, accountancy, and management. There is also humanities, education, and social sciences. There is also science, technology, engineering, mathematics, or STEM. There are also subjects that will be catered to all students but will be differentiated or contextualized based on learner's track. These are called applied track subjects. These subjects are: this added stay in secondary level that delayed students from entering college as what others criticized, enable learners to undergo immersion, which may include earn while you learn opportunities to provide students relevant exposure and actual experience in their chosen track. The last salient feature that sums up the better in this curriculum is nurturing the holistically developed Filipino by providing college and livelihood readiness and incorporating 21st century skills in teaching and learning. That's the end of our episode for today. Please scan this new QR link that will be directing you to the quiz for today. Do not also be shy about giving evaluation for today's episode. This is Teacher May for Philippine Education, where we talk about issues and topics that matter in education. See you on our next episode.